how to structure your strength and conditioning routine. Now, as you can see in the video, I've took up a new hobby. It's still in the realm of martial arts. It's Chinese lion dancing. If you're into kung fu movies, you've seen lion dancing in the beginning of a lot of kung fu movies. I'm not sure which ones. I know there was a Jet Li movie where in the beginning he was the tail, and he was watching and there was a lion dance going on. The guy controlling the head, something happened and Jet Li had to step in, take over for the guy, and he was doing all his kung fu moves. So excuse me, with the Chinese lion dancing, a lot of the footwork, the stances are based on kung fu fighters. They got the horse stance, side to side bull stance. In order for me to do these stances, I gotta be strong in the legs, and to hold the lion head, for me to move it the way that you saw me moving it, it takes a lot of upper body strength, and I'm just not used to it. You know, with the weighted shadow boxing, I can weight with 10-pound dumbbells, but the thing is, I'm shooting it and I'm bringing it back. Most of the tension is here, not out here. So with the lion head, in order for the lion head to look powerful, it's a lot of explosion then stopping. So I gotta explode the head and stop, which is something I'm not used to. Normally you kind of just get the punch and you bring it straight back in for defense. With the lion head, when you shoot it in somebody's face, okay, to make it look like whoa, for it to really pop, you gotta like shoot it and you gotta stop to kind of get that whole shockwave effect. Just like a bomb, when it blows up, it kind of like whoa, you feel the air. In order for that to happen, you gotta stop it midway. So to hold everything like this in like the stances, I gotta take a really wide low stance. It's extremely hard. So what I gotta do is create a strength and conditioning routine for these things to become, I wouldn't say easier, but for me to flow better with it. Because right now, my body, as I made in the jump rope video, there's a point where the lion head, it's working me. I burn out, I sweat, everything aches just to hold it. My forearms really cramp up. To hold the shots, my lat, to really just stop it, I gotta tense everything. And even though I'm much more muscular than the guys that actually do it, because I'm not used to it and I don't have the strength and the reps as them, I gas out. They can see the power, boom, boom, and the way I move it, boom. They can see my stances are good. I can do the horse stance really wide. They're very particular about the stances, but just as far as the reps and just being able to perform the head for a longer period of time, I gas out. It's much harder for me. I can hang, but when I take the head off, I put it down, I'm sweating, I'm exhausted. The first time I did it, the next 3 days, so they practice on Saturdays. The first Saturday I ever did it, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, my forearms, just holding the lion head really for me, because I shoot it so hard. In order for the thing not to go flying into their faces, I really squeeze it. And to shoot it as hard as I'm trying to shoot it, it takes, I use a lot. It's just like I'm punching, but instead of bringing it back, I gotta punch it and I gotta hold it, which is extremely weird. Just that explosion and stopping out fully extended it reminds me of the first time I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Dude, the next day I was hurting. It's a lot of muscle work. So a little background history on the Chinese lion dancing. Something like an emperor had a dream, and I think if I get the story wrong, please excuse me, but this is to my understanding. An emperor had a dream. It was kind of a bad dream, but a lion came to save him. After that, he went to go speak with his guru, and they were like, let's make a lion to celebrate and ward off evil spirits. So that's what they do. And a lot of these kung fu fighters back in the day, they use their movements and their fighting techniques to animate the lion head to ward away evil spirits. There's, symbolism all on the head and this and that. But that's why there's a lot of kung fu stances in it. When you perform it, this lion has to ward off evil spirits. So, with you guys, my subscribers, you already know about my fighting, shadow boxing, blended with the spirituality. I'm really loving it. My daughter actually wanted to do this, and I would go and watch, and just so happily, one of the coaches was like, jump in. And I jumped in. I was doing it barefoot. I wasn't wearing shoes. And I was doing it barefooted. And like, he kind of saw, he was like, oh, like he can kind of hang and do the movements. To warm up, we were doing like these lion head thrusters. We did like 30 reps of 3 sets. And like I said, I've never done it before, but like I got burnt out, but I could keep going. So he was like, oh, just keep practicing. And you know, I've been doing it for about like 2 months now, and I'm catching on really quickly. But in order for me to really let my spirit within animate this lion head, to really express my power, my strength, my endurance, my conditioning, I have to strengthen my body to be able to handle the workload. So how do you structure your strength and conditioning routine? Let's say you get into mixed martial arts. You got to do a lot of sparring. Spar. When you get home, do your best to have a journal and write down all the spots that you had an extremely hard time in. So when I was fighting mixed martial arts, I had the hardest time when I first started. You see the shadow boxing, all the boxing, my hands were like extremely good. Implementing kicks, it was easy because striking is just really more explosion, flicking it and being lighter on your feet to kind of be defensive after you throw a strike. Now, what I had the hardest time was changing levels, being able to strike, then stuffing a takedown, which is extremely weird because when you strike, a lot of times if you see that opening for the knockout, you really try to flush it in. But to really flush it in and knowing that he's probably not going to get knocked out, but when you flush it in and he shoots in for a takedown, you got to go from striking to wrestling defense. That was the hardest time. So it was like striking, then becoming this solid wall to kind of shoot, sprawl out, and to distribute my weight. In order for me to do that, I would do a lot of striking down to sprawling drills, striking, sprawling drills, striking, sprawling drills. Then I noticed after I sprawl, I had a hard time exploding from the floor. So what did I do? I did shadowboxing, sprawl, sprint. Shadowboxing, sprawl, quick sprint. Shadowboxing, sprawl, quick sprint. When it comes to structuring a strength and conditioning routine, especially for fighting, mixed martial arts, you gotta find the areas where you have the hardest time. And then from there, just double down on those movements. Add some ankle weights, some resistance. Find some weight training exercises that mimic those movements. So a lot of from the ground up, you can do burpee, power cleans. Dude, use your imagination. My son over here, hanging out. He just woke up. It's early in the morning. It's still like the crack of dawn. The sun hasn't even came up yet. I'm like sweating. I just finished the morning workout. Working on some lying down stuff with some shadow boxing. But it comes down to finding your weaknesses, okay? And then strengthening that. You will have some strengths. Like for me, my striking was always strong. In order for my striking to be enhanced in mixed martial arts, I gotta work on these tiny holes. It made no sense for me to do more boxing. Yes, in mixed martial arts, dude, you gotta be a master. Not at everything, but a master at flowing things together simultaneously. You can have all right hands, all right wrestling, all right jiu-jitsu. But if you can flow and weave through that effortlessly, you can be extremely good at mixed martial arts. You look at guys like GSP. GSP kind of had like an above average from the professional, I would say amateur skills. I mean, he was really good at wrestling, this and that. But, when he wrestled with Olympic wrestlers, of course he sucked. When he boxed with Olympic boxers, professional boxers. Dude, he was getting whooped. But he mastered weaving all of those together simultaneously. So let's say if you're trying to structure something for boxing, when you're sparring, when it comes to boxing, because it's just punching, you got to look at the spots where you have the hardest time, and you got to take feedback from your body. The way I used to do it was in boxing, by the time I would get, when I would be sparring, just straight hands, by the time I would get to like the 6th round, my shoulders would be burning. Of course, we're wearing 16-ounce gloves. Sometimes I'd wear 18s, 22s, and I was like, everything could keep up. My legs weren't so big back then, so my legs, I was able to bounce and move. But as far as throwing everything, that's why the way I shadow box was just so used to when I throw a jab, because my arms would burn out, I would go straight to like a parry or like a defense, because I was always dropping it because my shoulders would get burnt out. What did I do? A lot of weighted shadow boxing. And from there, it kind of like enhanced the punching. Even when I throw out a jab, they try to like, I do this thing where I always catch everything. I catch and I shoot it straight in. So when I would do it to them, they would do it to me. But when I throw it, because I did a lot of weighted shadow boxing, dude, they can't throw it down. When I shoot it straight, it's coming. And for me to bring it back down, it's on purpose. I bring it back down, boop, I can parry everything from there. But that was somebody beeping their horn. They're sensing the energy. That was the weakness, was in the later rounds, my shoulders. Dude, my lungs, I could breathe, I could everything. Everything was kind of fine, the cardio, but my shoulders would be burning. Maybe you could say I throw a lot of arm punches. And for me, like I said, like at one point I learned to just really spike really quick arm punches, because like I said, when in mixed martial arts, if I overextend it, it's taken down, leg kick, head kicks, so I kind of spike it. I use the timing when they come in. If they go for a shot, I can spike it, and dude, they'll get extremely stunned, because when you try to shoot in and I clip you with a quick jab, like here or on your nose or on your chin, like you will feel it. It's not gonna be like, even though when I shadow box it looks like I'm throwing it light, I'm thinking about the timing when he steps in. Boom. If he steps in for a leg kick and I just like, boop, dude, these things hurt. So that's the other side of everything, is the timing. But when it comes to structuring a sound strength and conditioning routine for you to become better in the ring, in the cage, you got to do a lot of sparring, and you got to figure out the holes in which your body feels weakened. Okay, some of you guys you think strength and conditioning helps to increase your speed. When it comes to skill speed, it's just a lot of practicing on the mitts and drilling. So when you see if you want to be faster, when a guy steps in, you gotta just drill that. Have a partner come step in and shoot him. Step in, shoot it out. Same thing with power. Sometimes with power, it's not that your muscles are weak. You just don't have the balance or the timing to hit these shots on a moving opponent, okay? So, strength and conditioning. Find the areas in which you are weakened, okay? And try to pertain it to like a body part. Let's say like, same thing with boxing. If you can't breathe, obviously you gotta just do sprints and running. Anything when it comes to breathing, sprints and running. Even if you're a wrestler and you're in these crazy scrambles, I would do what's that called? Sprinting with dumbbells. Maybe 5 pounds at the most. You see a lot of these Olympic wrestlers, they use bands. Same thing if you go sprinting with dumbbells. You really want to get some resistance on the arms, because when you're arm wrestling, really just shooting in, really trying to defend, come up, a lot of it is leg explosiveness and arm endurance. So sprinting with dumbbells, like I said, when you find a weakness from just lots of sparring, the weakness most times is in the movement, not in the actual body. The body is strong. It's just you don't have strength in the movement. So find the movements in which are extremely hard for you, and then add resistance with reps. So with the lion head, I have a hard time holding the lion head. I've been working with a lot of dumbbells, just shooting. Not too heavy, because the lion head is not heavy, but I'll shoot the lion head in a little run. I'll probably shoot the lion head out maybe at most 8 times. So if I'm doing dumbbell thrusters, 50 reps a set, and doing at least 500 of these, when I get back to practice on Saturday, shooting the head shouldn't be as bad, okay? And that's how you strengthen and structure a strength and conditioning routine. As I said, bottom line, it's not really the body that's weak. It's the movement and your body not having enough reps in the movement. So just double down on the movement that you feel weak in and add resistance to it. And that's how I'll give you some examples, guys. Like I'll go back to Kyokushin Karate Masayama. He had extremely strong punches, extremely strong blocks. He would just do blocks on trees and hit these makiwara boards. Boom, 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 boom. Same thing. Okay, let's go like Floyd Mayweather. Dude, look at the conditioning that he has. Look at the main thing that he does outside of boxing for conditioning: running and jumping rope. It doesn't have to be crazy. All these science and machines and stuff is kind of almost like a way to delude you. You just gotta focus on what's really being burnt out. For boxing, a lot of times it's the lungs. Just so happenly for me, it was my shoulders. So that's why I do a lot of weighted shadow boxing, a lot of reps on push-ups. The muscle always burns out for me. To really balance it out, lots of burnouts and lots of long distance running with jumping rope. The jumping rope really helped with the shoulders. When it comes to mixed martial arts, if you have a hard time grappling, if you gotta lift weights because of the way you play, lift weights. Do heavier stuff, dude. If you're grappling in like the 135 pound weight class and you can curl 135 pounds, I have no doubt in my mind that when you try to stuff these takedowns, or you're, we call it swimming, when you're just trying to fight for that under over, dude, your arms are going to be strong enough to hack it. And that's just what it is. Whatever movement you kind of gas out on, put resistance on it and drill that movement over and over. Get your body to where it's like second nature. Then when you take off the resistance and you perform it on someone, it's like it becomes extremely easier. And that's the whole point of strength and conditioning. You want to strengthen and hit that movement for reps, so that way when you go to perform in the cage or in the ring, it's flawless and effortless. Okay, not saying you're not gonna get tired, but if you just double down on the basics, I have no doubt in my mind. Okay, everything you see that's built was just adding resistance. Dude, I don't have no like 3 sets of 10 on bench, flies, this and that, or like shoulder work, ab work. Dude, the same ab workout that I put, he's just having fun. The ab workout that I put, that's the one I do. But I've been doing about 500 to 1,000. The video was a 300 reps. I added 200 more reps at the end of that 300, and then I'll hit abs again at night. That's just what it is. Just finding what you're weak at, the movements, doubling down on it, and adding resistance or doing it more. That's what a strength and conditioning routine is. Now, I will give you my favorite. Like these old school kung fu you watch in the movies, the martial arts movies, they do all these crazy work with like I said, like hitting the trees, 36 chambers of Shaolin. He's walking up the stairs with the buckets in his hand. Dude, really simple stuff. Like, just let your imagination flow. Find the movements that you're weak in, and just double down on that. And one more thing, like I said in the last video, dude, use your imagination and do things that when you see it, you would be like, "Oh, like that is beast. I gotta do that." So like, I had a strength and conditioning gym. We did a lot of stuff. Like I did a lot of odd object lifting, a lot of tire flipping, sled dragging. A lot of the inspiration for my workouts for these clients was Dragon Ball Z. Not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. There was a time when Goku and Krillin were training for the world tournament with Master Roshi. Master Roshi just had them doing a bunch of labor work. And I was like, dude, let's try it out. Because when I watched it, I was like, yeah. It sparked something in me. And I built a physical space, a gym that we would just do physical labor. And the guys I was creating, it was like amazing. Their strength and their conditioning. I kind of like, when they flipped the tire, when we pulled the sled, I kind of had to look at how they were doing it because a lot of them were jiu-jitsu players. I would watch them roll and I was like, okay, when you're pulling the sled, you got to pull it like this. Maybe you got to get a little bit lower, kind of in a bear crawl, tire sled pull, and just mimic how they played to what we were doing strength and conditioning wise. That's all it is, dude. Let your imagination run wild and find the holes in which you're weak at, the movements, add resistance to it. On top of that, add a little bit of that imagination, that flair, to where you would be like, if you saw someone doing that at the park, you would be like, holy moly. Same thing, like with me, with the shadow boxing thing. When I'm out at the park, people trip out. I can be there for like 3 hours, going at different paces, in the hot sun, baking. That's why I'm so dark. Let the imagination run wild and try to step outside of yourself and just be like, dude, if I saw a guy doing that, I would be totally amazed. And that's how you structure. That's how the martial arts master height structures a strength and conditioning routine. We went all over the place with that. We're just letting it flow, man. And that's just what it is. Always remember, train hard and be kind. Let's go.